Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me, Rob. I got no lights on.
Oh no, turn off the lights and I'll glow to the extreme. I rock a mock like a vandal. I remember the rest of the words. It's been a long time. It's been probably 30 years since I've listened to that song.
That's amazing. We brought up Limp Bizkit last weekend. Weekend.
Now Vanilla Ice.
I heard Limp Bizkit references 4 times within 7 days.
Was it the Limp Bizkit committee down in Kansas City? Never know what I'm in for in Denver. Hard rock don't stop down in Vegas.
I travel all over for my job. All I know is that at my plant where I have to go to every morning, I heard about it there. We talked about it. I talked about it with some other random person, and then another random customer brought up Limp Bizkit. I was like,
"Listen."
I looked at him. I was like, "Are you messing with me right now?" Like,
new metal is making a comeback. You know what it is?
Really
We're
is.
like, we've reached that age where the stuff that we liked is stuff that we taught like the next generation. So now they like it, kind of like we grew up with watching, listening to like Led Zeppelin and stuff like and that. Back in the '70s stuff. Van Halen, we were around for. I'm saying like before we were born, kind of stuff. Like
listen, 1984 came out. Listen, 1984 came out before I was born.
Barely though.
Just barely. You're right, but
barely,
it came out before I was
barely.
born. Also,
you got rabbits humping in the background, by the way. There's this.
I do. They are drying.
They're knocking
sheets.
sound here. He's
drying the towels.
Getting his block going for his Easter sale.
Just around the corner and listen. You got to get out of the market.
Hop to it.
Yeah, that's not true.
All right, let's get into. We got some notes here on the Jets versus Giants game. To be honest with you guys, though, it's kind of a boring game.
Yeah,
it's a very, very boring game. Giants didn't play a single starter, basically. I mean,
we expected it.
I mean, nothing that you would go, oh, this was a fun game because of blank. I mean,
listen, the only hype we had going to this game was like, oh, they're going to start Aaron Rodgers. And everyone's like, maybe we might start a couple starters.
Yeah.
Guess what? We see him in a couple months.
Yep. And that's what it is. And we talked about this going into the game. You don't want to show your future opponent what you do. And they're 100% right for it.
Yeah. And granted, like, things will change. Things will be different going into, 2.5 months? But it's week 9 we see him?
Yeah. Something like that. Mid-season, I know it's.
So like, yeah. Maybe you want to see drive 2 out of these, like, our starters, but at the same time, we know what we got. Like, this is our sophomore season with our head coaches and most of our starters. Like, there's some other starters that were not on this roster last year, but we also know who we have in them. Like, like we know who he is. Like, we don't need to see him start.
We know who he is, but people still have trouble pronouncing his name. But
yeah, carrot cake, yum.
or Okariki, like he used to go by in the beginning because he didn't want to correct anybody.
Yeah,
poor guy. I know. You think somebody at some point would have said, "Excuse me, how do you pronounce your name?" Like, that's not an embarrassing question if you have to talk about somebody in a professional capacity. If anything, that's a respectful thing to make sure you're actually pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
Now, if you're repeatedly asking him or like making suggestions that it sounds odd, yes, that would be horrible. But asking somebody one time, "Hey, how do you pronounce your name? I want to make sure I have it right for this."
Yeah, it's the same thing as going up to a Kathy and be like, "Is it a C or a K?"
Yeah,
I want to spell it right.
Perfectly valid question. I don't know why nobody asked earlier. It's kind of sad. It's the kind of sad state of the Indianapolis sports crowd. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the game itself. Some notes. We just got a couple notes here for you and some updates medically here. So first off, a surprising star of the game, I thought, was Carter Coughlin of all people. Carter Coughlin.
Yeah.
We talked about him as a cut guy, a guy who plays special teams, and that's it. And don't get me wrong, one preseason game does not change my opinion of this man whatsoever. But he had a good game, and he should get kudos for that good game. He had 2 tackles for loss against the run, did a decent job in the the linebacker role there at that point, which obviously into the regular season he pretty much never sees. He's pretty much always a special teamer. If you need a bottom end guy though for the linebacker position, who also can play edge in a pinch because he played that in college, maybe he's the guy who sneaks into the roster here. We'll find out tomorrow when they announce the 53-man roster, and we have our episode tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Shameless plug for the roster, the 53-man roster show. But yeah, like I said, not a guy that I would have gone into any game going, this is a guy who's going to have a good game. But no, he had a good game. So kudos to him for it.
Kudos. Golf clap.
Kudos. No, we don't clap in the Giants anymore ever since the clapper left. We got Graham Gano, a star of the show as well here. And obviously Graham Gano is a great kicker, one of the best in the NFL.
You can't take it away from that guy.
2 kicks over 55 yards, and he also sank a 40-yard field goal as well on top of that. So, good game all around by him. I'll say this, though. I hate when he is a star of a game, though, because that means we're not scoring touchdowns.
Yes, that's actually one of this whole offseason. That's one of the biggest
rabbits behind you again.
Yeah. I was trying to keep myself muted for that, but that's one of my biggest takeaways from this offseason. It's like I can't be mad about it. Like Graham Gano was a star this offseason. He put up most of those points that we saw this offseason. He was the star of the show for the past 3 weeks. But that being said, what starters have we actually really seen start this offseason?
Not much, but still, it's something we've seen over the years. We don't like to see it. And I should also say that I guarantee you people in the audio podcast are like, oh my God, does he actually have rabbits humping behind him? Because I've mentioned it twice now. They don't have the benefit of video. No people that are not rabbits behind him. So it's a random
they're in front of me behind the camera. Or I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and I'm doing laundry because I'm trying to be a responsible adult.
Adulting.
I know. Want to wear clean clothes tomorrow. God.
The
load's almost done. I'm sorry. My load's almost done.
Whoa. It's a bit personal on the podcast there. So David Sills, we got to talk about him a little. Sills Army, they're going to be happy to hear him talked about as a guy who also had a very good game. Led the Giants in receiving yards. Just overall had a decent game. And this is what he does. He's just good enough in the preseason to make you think for a minute he might be good on the roster. But no, folks, he's not. I'm
sorry. I bought into the hype of Stills Army.
Nope.
Yeah, early on, but this is what he does. It's a proven factor. Every preseason, he's going to be the stud. Those rabbits are going to get excited.
They are. They're really excited.
But just like Stills Army, you're getting excited. You don't need to blow your load.
Oh my gosh. You know what the crazy thing is? So for those who may not be familiar with Sills, this is like a big thing overall. So if his career is over, this is a guy who's literally been talked about playing like at the national stage football wise basically since he was a teenager. He got his first scholarship offer in 2010. 2010, folks. He didn't start playing college until 2015.
Damn, kudos to him.
And he was supposed to be a quarterback. So he is still one of the youngest people to ever get a full scholarship offer from any major football team. That was USC, by the way. So that's not a small school. You know, he wanted to be a quarterback, couldn't make it as a quarterback, went to West Virginia, played a year there, went down to lower level El Camino College, played a year there, and then finished out as a wide receiver at West Virginia. But he wanted to play quarterback, got converted to it. But you're talking about a guy who's basically been in the football world since he was growing facial hair. So if this is the end, you know, we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow, but I have a feeling it might be. You know, kudos to him on a long career, even though he's potentially over at 27. He still had 14 years in the national news as a football player. That's still pretty damn impressive. But there's still the chance he could. I mean, considering all the injuries we've had at wide receiver with Wan'Dale Robinson, Cole Beasley, Bryce Ford Wheaton, you know, there's still a chance that we do see David Sills on this roster. I don't think so. I hope not. I think we've seen the best we're going to ever see out of Sills. We haven't seen the best we'll ever see these rabbits, though. Those rabbits are just...
Yeah, those rabbits are going to definitely outrun Sills right now. But no, there's like all joking aside, like Stills, like he is our MVP. Besides Webb, when it comes to our preseason. Besides that, like that's, I don't want to put the man down, but
don't put him down. You're not going to put him under like a sick rabbit.
I don't want to talk bad about the guy, but like he's not going to make it as a Giants roster. Like he might make a couple games this year coming up from the practice squad. He might, depending on injuries, possibly go into the games, but I just don't see it.
I hate to put a 27-year-old on the practice squad. That's what it boils down to. We already know what he is. We know he's not that good. Let's call it what it is. Let's move on. It's time. Time of death is 2023. Okay, like it's done. I think we need to just move on personally, but we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out tomorrow. Like, and there's still a lot of things that could happen in that wide receiver room that may shock us, but I also, you know,
we're gonna be shocked and appalled, or just shocked.
Maybe and appalled, because Stills might still be on this team.
It's always a few shockers. Always a few shockers. Let's talk about the running game. Let's talk about the running game, because that's something we got to talk about again. You know, we had the one good run by James Robinson, 28-yard run.
Yep.
And people are talking about, it's his best game as a New York Giants since we got him. Well, he had 10 carries, guys, for 55 yards. What does that tell you? He had 9 carries for 27 yards the rest of the way. That's 3 yards a carry. Sad thing is, that is his best game as a New York Giant. That's still not good. That's still not good. You know, look at the rest of the running backs. Eric Gray, 7 carries, 11 yards. Deshaun Corbin, 6 carries, 6 yards. Guys, if that doesn't scare you, considering the injury history of Saquon Barkley, yeah, that's scary, guys. Legit, like, if we lose Saquon, I'm hoping there's somebody in street clothes we can call upon for a few games. I don't know who that is. Got to look to see who's available. But I think that might be a sleeper spot for us to look at somebody as a practice squad guy that's not in our roster now that we think might have potential. Because, again, Matt Breida didn't practice. I trust Matt Breida to be better than these guys have been. But if Saquon goes down, Matt Breida is not the workhorse back.
No.
He needs someone to complement him. And I don't trust Eric Gray. And while Deshaun Corbin's shown flashes, I don't trust him either. So,
and I mean, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but like, Brightwell didn't play because
the injuries, though.
So, I mean, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Like, does he make the roster? Does he not make the roster for the starting of the year? Not saying he's not going to make the roster overall, but does he start off an IR?
Yeah, like I said, that's going to be an interesting position to watch overall. I think I really do. Deb has a comment here we're going to go into here. She says, I think DeVito looks good for a rookie. He has some of the intangibles. I would hate to lose him. Do you think they would keep him as an emergency QB? That is now allowed. The only problem with the emergency QB thing, and I've seen a lot of people have confusion over this. We went over this with the last episode, just in case anybody didn't hear it, though they should just go back and listen to the previous episode.
The whole episode, and that's just this part.
Download all of the episodes. The problem with the emergency quarterback is they have to be part of the 53-man roster. So remember, there's a few players that are part of the 53 that don't suit up for the games. Those people are ineligible to play those games, but they're still part of the 53. Your emergency quarterback would be one of those guys who can then come in if both your other quarterbacks get injured. So that's the problem, is he has to take up a spot on the 53-man roster. And I don't have a problem keeping him if the Giants see the potential and don't want to take the risk of losing him. I don't know if I see that level of, production from him that I'm like, oh, we got to keep this guy.
And Deb, I don't want to go too much more into tomorrow's episode before Drew gets away on it, but he showed some spark. But has he shown enough?
So you're saying he's shown some razzle, but not some dazzle.
A little bit, like he's got a little bit of the bake, but not so much to the shake. He's also got a little bit of that shake, but not so much to bake. Shake and bake.
Oh, you're gonna say, "Wow, you're gonna leave me there here." But yeah, and she says here as well. She says they talk about him having a good feel for the rush and keeps his eyes downfield and make plays. Listen, Deb, he has potential to be a decent backup in this league. He really does. The problem is we already have a decent backup in Tyrod Taylor that we're paying a lot of money to, and the question
Hey, this is tomorrow's episode, guys.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but the problem comes into be is you're going to have to keep 3 then potentially if you want to hold on.
So should we just get rid of this? Should we get rid of the stuff in the room right now and just talk about it right now?
No, but we already talked about it last episode that we think he's going to be a practice squad guy and hopefully we can keep him. I'm not against them keeping him if they think he's that good. I'm not. I'm going to trust Shane and Dable that they know what they're doing. In Shane, we trust right now. He
is the young Davis Pope right now. He's going to maybe
he'll be a great QB coach one day.
Yeah, he's really proven himself. Like when they brought him up from college, you look at some of his stuff. Like, does he have the arm? Can you do this? Can you do that? He's proven himself right now in this, preseason that he has what it takes to be a backup in this league. So to say, be a starter, but a backup in this league. But
depending on what level of backup, I mean, again, you have to take some of the preseason with a grain of salt to a certain degree. He's playing third-string guys himself,
and he's also got the third and fourth-string offensive line.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, he played okay with the third stringers,
and he's shown audacity. Like he's shown, like, hey, I'm going to go out there and make planes work.
We got to finish this. Dakota says, "Hello, is there anybody out there?" Just not if you can hear me. Is there anyone at home? Oh yes. We'll keep the Pink Floyd going, Dakota. Don't you worry. As he puts, "Is there anybody home?" Keep the comments going, Dakota. It just helps the feed going. Connor says, "I personally like to see an older guy somehow make it and give us a game-changing play for TD. Sad when over 26-year-old and I'm in my 50s. LOL." It's all right, Connor. I'm in my 40s and I'm way too old unless I was like Tom Brady.
No, it's like Tom Brady.
It is what it is. I mean, it's a young man's game. That's what it is. He also says, Should have traded for Josh Jacobs. JK, LOL. Imagine him and Saquon both on team. Yeah, no, that would not work out very well, probably, because they both want the ball too much.
Hey, both would take a lot of cap.
Nah, honestly, that would be the bigger thing for me, because you figure between the two of them make like $23-24 million or whatever it was for both combined. That's not too bad. You have one hell of a running, game at that point. So,
but we've argued about this nonstop. Like, it's not the running game anymore.
I know it's the scheme, but it still matters. It's kind of like, let me put it this way: like, you can get a steak and put it on a grill, and it's gonna taste damn good no matter what you do. It's a grill. It's a steak. Like, as long as you cook it right, it's gonna as long as you cook it right and have the right cooking scheme, it's going to taste good. But if you use a better quality meat, it's going to be even better. We're comparing here Wagyu, not to be confused with Wagyu, to Walmart steaks. That's what it is. A Walmart steak's going to taste very good if you cook it right in the grill, season it right, and all that kind of stuff. But again, a nice Wagyu where you see the marbling and all that kind of fun stuff there, it's going to taste better. It's life. Saquon's a Wagyu. Josh Jacobs is a Wagyu. Eric Ray right now, it's like Chuck.
A Wagyu.
All right. So rest of the notes here for the game here. So we got to talk about the punt game again. I have to go another rant apparently, because no matter how many rants I have about the Scottish Hammer and Jamie Gillum here, just still, this guy is so hell-bent on showing people how far he can kick the goddamn ball that he just doesn't understand the art of punting. He needs to go. I want to see the punt god. He's been cleared of the charges. Bring him on. Bring him on. It's like this. He just doesn't get it. Like, and I'm not even trying to be like a jerk about it. Like, I know he got into football late and stuff like that. I get it. But that's not my problem right now. You're our punter, and you're not punting. You're kicking. There's a difference. The game is not meant to see how far you can kick the ball. There's an art to it. You have to kick higher. You have to kick to certain directions. You have to do certain things that you don't do in rugby. He doesn't seem to get it still. Because when you kick the ball 62 yards, yeah, that looks great on paper. But when you outkick the coverage team and the returner gets 22 yards, and if not for a good tackle, potentially gets a touchdown, you effed up.
I just want to be clear. Did you say art with a T or arc with a K?
No, arts. Word arts. There's an art to it. We're not putting animals in 2x2. I know I'm in a hurricane zone right now, but we're not putting animals.
There's also an arc to the way you punt the ball.
There's also the Ark of the Covenant. Dun 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 dun.
I may have just watched that movie recently.
It's a very romantic song, I think. It's a guy who came down the aisle to that. But yeah, like I said, another display of him just not knowing how to punt, and I'm sick of it. I was sick of it last year. I'm sick of it this year already. I'm just sick of it. It's getting to the point where I shouldn't even talk about it, because it's just pointless. They're going to keep on putting this guy out there. He's kicking the goddamn ball as far as he can and not giving a damn about what he actually does for the team. That's what I feel like at this point. When you keep not changing the problems, especially when I'm trying to solve them in preseason, it shows me you don't give a damn. Because if you're trying to change things, the preseason is when you try different things.
Yes. That's why we have them.
So when you're just still kicking the ball 65 yards down the field and don't care if you outkick the coverage team, don't care about your hang time, don't care about your directions, you don't care. And if you don't care, you got to go. I'm done. I'm fed up. I was done last year with him. But, it's just annoying because we're going to have a better team this year, hopefully. And here's an issue we still have that's very easily fixable by getting somebody who actually punts. Not difficult. There's people out there. Punt God, just saying. Get him. I wanted to draft him last year. Get him. All right. Let me get off my soapbox.
Yeah. But say, damn.
Listen, I'm in that mood right now. I'm just like,
You see, punters.
You know what? It's weird. I don't usually get so fired up about a punter, but I'm getting fired up about a punter still. Like this guy is just for some reason he got under my skin last year, and he's still there.
Did he leave?
I got punter under my skin.
Under pressure.
Boop 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 dude. All right, we got to talk about Matt Pert too as well. Talk about people who look crappy. Matt Pert look crappy.
Yeah,
a guy who a couple weeks ago were like, oh, he looks better. Oh, looks he might be our swing tackle. He has regressed again within just a couple of weeks. I don't know what the hell, but he got to go. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh well, it's hard to get a good swing tackle. I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that at all. What I do dispute is it's hard to find a better tackle than Matt Pert. I'm sorry, it's not difficult. We may not have the guy on our roster now, but I guarantee you someone's going to cut the guy who is better than Matt Pert. And I'm really hoping that in a couple of days here, as some of these guys that get cut get picked up, we have breaking news for you that we find a good swing tackle. Not a great swing tackle, a serviceable, a guy who we can put in there and not get, the quarterback killed. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not looking for crazy, miraculous, oh my God, the best swing tackle in the NFL just got cut. No. The swing tackle by definition is not a great player. If he was great, he'd be playing. He wouldn't be a swing tackle. He'd be the starter.
Yeah.
I just want somebody who's not going to get our quarterback killed. Not asking that much. Really not. Matt Pert seemed to think it is.
Yeah, well, he proved that in the first quarter when you got beat and got and Taylor got sacked in the first quarter. Yeah,
I mean he's had all. It
was a bad beat. It wasn't like it was just bad.
I just keep going to week one even when he couldn't even block a corner. When the cornerback gets around your block, that's an issue. You're twice his size. Yeah. Just laying him. It's not that difficult.
Just
fall down. You won't be able to get up. Now, let's still talk about the biggest issue with the game for Giants. And that's the injuries. We've managed to have some injuries this preseason here, but nothing crazy. But we were losing players left and right in this game.
I was about to say, we dropped like sack potatoes.
And this may change some of the 53-man roster moves. And we'll find out tomorrow how right we were. I saved our answers on who we think is going to make the roster. Let's find out how right we are tomorrow. But here's the injuries we had. Cornerback, Zion Gilbert, hamstring. Safety, Bobby McCain, concussion. Wide receiver, Bryce Ford Wheaton, knee. Tight end, Chris Myrick, hand. Offensive lineman, Wyatt Davis, right ankle. Safety, Javaris Owens, hamstring. Cornerback, Jamon Green, shoulder. All lost to injuries in the game. That's a lot.
And a third to half of those are going to be like IR to season injury, like gone.
But that's 7 injuries, dude, in one game. That's a lot of people to lose in one game. That's a lot. It's almost like they had a whistle in between every single play to get the injured guy out the field.
Medic, we need another one. Let's go.
We're out of medics, folks. Is there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor? But yeah,
it's here. I'm here.
But I mean, overall thoughts in the game. I can't think that we're upset about this game. We didn't really care about the outcome too much. We just didn't want people getting injured, and that didn't work out. So I guess we can be a little upset in that regard. But the Giants held their own for the most part. The Jets played starters for a little while, and we still barely lost the game. And in the end, I don't care about winning or losing the preseason. I just care about the time that certain players get that need it, and that we don't have injuries. So, to be very frank, this was a very pointless game for the most part. The only real star of the play of the plays that I saw here in this game were, the fact that Sauce Gardner and Jalen Hyatt had a nice one-on-one combo there. So I didn't rewatch a lot of the game. I'll be honest with you guys on that. I usually watch most games like 2-3 times. This game was that boring. I watched it the one time. and then I watched a couple of highlights and specific things I wanted to rewatch. That was one thing I rewatched a few times. Jalen Hyatt just totally burnt Sauce Gardner a couple of times. That's not a slight thing to do. That's not like a oh my god, this happens all the time thing. Keep in mind, this guy came into the league as an All-Pro his first year. He has a chance to become very, very special in this league.
He saw
very
sauce.
Special. Yes, he sauced him. He was the secret sauce.
He saw sauce.
Yes. So that's interesting to watch because this is a kid that has a whole lot of potential, guys. If you want to look for somebody to be excited about, it's Jalen Hyatt. Because we haven't seen even the best version of Jalen Hyatt. We probably won't even see him this year. We may not even see it next year. But call me crazy, but I have some really high hoops in this kid in this league. I really do. And I think that eventually he's going to become, I'm not going to say like a Pro Bowl or anything like that crazy, but he's going to be a good key player for us in the long term. And he has a ceiling that he could very well become a Pro Bowler.
He's going to be the steal of the draft is what's going to happen. They're going to turn around like, oh, he was going to be picked in the first round, and somehow the Giants got him in the third round.
Yeah.
Like, how come no one in the second round even thought about getting this guy? How to go back to the Giants in the third round?
Especially some of the guys in the first round that won't pan out, because you know that always happens.
Yeah.
Also, I see a couple guys in the comments talking about Bryce Ford Whedon. We'll get to that in a minute, but it was his knee. You know, people are talking about ACL. Keep in mind the ACL is part of the knee. But we'll get into that in a minute. There, we haven't gotten into the long-term injuries yet, guys. Don't steal the plot line.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, can't be too upset at the game, even though we lost. Glad to see Jalen Hyatt crush it. Would have loved to see a run a game actually do something. Nice to see a couple of guys contribute and get some time like that. But yeah, well, like I said, hopefully most of these big injuries, you know, that we talk about here, you know, hamstring, concussion, things like that to guys that we might actually see on the roster. Hopefully that all gets worked out. Let's get into the roster moves, though.
Go for it. Before we even get in there, like, we're talking about.
He's leaving us with more suspense.
I just want to reiterate. Like,
where is your crown, good sir?
I just want to reiterate.
By the old Burger King before you come to the show.
We did not start any of our starters, like our core starters.
Well, that makes them not starters if we didn't start them.
We're going to be starters. Like, Barkley has not played any time this preseason. Nope. And that was purposely done. Because they want to show what this team can do without him in this preseason. And guess what? Week 2 is the only time we saw DJ out there with a couple other handful of starters. They purposely are just running schemes right now. So, like, don't look at this game and be like, oh, my God. Don't look at this preseason and be like, oh, my.
Yep. We lost Rob. He got so excited he froze on us. There he is. Are you back, Rob? You got so excited you froze on us.
I got so excited. I think I'm kicking everything over. I'm sideways.
Let it go.
But
there he is. Talking about Giants football.
I was wondering, like, our offense is going to look way different come week 1 against Dallas. Like, they purposely are running simple, different little plays. Just kind of give you an idea of how they're going to play in this upcoming season. This is not how we're going to play football. It's not like last year where we're trying to figure out who we were as a football team.
We actually have weapons this year.
Yeah. And we kept them hitting for the regular season. Purposely.
Yes.
I just want
hidden players, crouching ACLs.
Yeah. Hey, listen. We less ACL tears than last year. Just saying.
All right. Let's get into the roster moves. But before we do, as we continue our suspense here, comments section time. Oh yeah, let's go into the comments. Let's go into the comments. Let's go into the comments and read ourselves some comments. Connor says, ask someone in South or North Dakota. To be very frank, I have no clue what section he put that up on. Connor, feel free to talk about what we're talking about.
I'm sure he's talking about Dakota.
Oh, I never even mentioned. I never even met somebody from North or South Dakota. I feel like.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about Dakota.
Okay, he's not from Dakota. His name is Dakota.
There's a difference.
Yes. Same as I've never been to Drew. Connor says, can rely on backup running back that way. Yeah, he definitely could if he had Josh Jacobs. Dakota says, just had ribs. Connor says, yum ribs, saucy. Dakota says, farts to it. Well, this is where we get to the problem of reading all the comments.
Yeah,
Connor says, Drew, you rocking JPP jersey? Damn straight I am. Listen, you're gonna be the Tampa Bay area. You got to get
y'all
the
know me.
USF star.
JPP.
You got to get the USF star JPP. Connor then says, farts, ruh-roh. Connor says also, put me in, coach. I can do it. No, you can't, Connor. Sorry. Joe Dabari. What's up, Joe? Says, Ford Wheaton gone for the season with a torn Achilles. Well, we're going to wait. This is a spoiler alert. We hadn't gotten to that yet, but we're doing it now because we're seeing the comments. He also says, Hyatt, fire. I had to do like the Beavis and Butthead version.
I was about to say, this is definitely a Beavis version right there.
And the Green Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole. My people, they have no bungles. Connor says, yeah, I hear Wheaton ACL too, not knee. Again, the ACL is part of the knee, people. The hip bone's connected to the leg bone. The leg bone's connected to the shoulder bone. Wait, hold on.
And the Achilles, wait a minute. The Achilles is definitely nowhere near all that.
But it is a tendon that goes up into the knee.
Yeah, but it's technically
it's considered a knee injury. It's considered a knee injury.
Technically, Achilles is an ankle injury. But
Joe says, LOL, and then says, is DeVito going to be a Giant? We talked about that, but we're kind of torn on that. We don't think so, but we're torn. Connor says, oh my, what Roberto? It says, oh, you're back. That was quick for you. That's what she said. LOL.
You're right. That is what she said.
And then he says Dakota was joke about Dakota. Okay. So we're right on that one. All right. Let's get into all the moves, the roster moves. So obviously we know that tomorrow, as we mentioned many times, because we'll have our show tomorrow giving the news on the final 53-man roster, as we shamelessly plug that episode again.
By the way, tomorrow's 53-man roster.
Oh, is it? I had no clue. Only someone announced that. Maybe we should put a banner down there at the bottom of the screen or something. Just stop saying about the sharing is caring and the like and share, and sponsor the show at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Another shameless plug. Anyway, we did get rid of a lot of people already. A lot. So honestly, I don't think a lot of shockers, except for I think maybe one. I think maybe one's a shocker. Not for me, not for Rob, because we've been talking about him being overhyped all off season, but he got cut already. So first we have the waived. Now, give you guys an update of what these terms mean, because I know it's a little confusing sometimes, some of the terms they use in these. Waived means you haven't played at least 4 years in the NFL. And when you're waived, that means you have to go through the waiver wire before you become an actual free agent. So when I say 4 years, you only are considered active for a year in the NFL if you're active for at least 6 weeks on the roster. So if you've had 4 weeks in a year, that's not an active season for you technically. So that it's just a weird way the CBA is written and everything like that. So the people that were waived: defensive tackle Kevin Atkins, defensive back Darren Evans, nose tackle Donovan Jeter, wide receiver Colin Johnson. Let's pause for a second. We got to talk about that one. That's the big one. That's the big elephant in the room here. Okay, like the rest of them were Sharon Lois and Brams. This is the elephant show right here. Okay, right. This is the one. So see how many people get that reference. so Colin Johnson. a lot of guys were hyping him up, thought he's going to make the roster. A lot of guys were this offseason talking about he could be the big, tall receiver for us. I don't know what it is about Giant fans and us loving big, tall receivers. First off, it doesn't fit the system that they're doing with the Giants right now. Second, we already tried that with Kenny Golladay. It didn't work very well. Third, Colin Johnson's not that good. Yes, Roberto, do you have a question? Are you just playing with your arm for no apparent reason?
We have a gentleman. His name's Waller, and he's big, he's tall, and he's strong.
But he's a tight end. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah, you're right. Who also came from the wide receiver room, who is going to be playing that top role. So we don't need a receiver like that. Gonna put my hand back down now.
No, you can go for it. You can go for it. You don't have to raise your hand.
Just saying. Like, do we need
I get it. I'm just saying.
Receiver?
You know how many people that are either Giants reporters or content creators like us that have sat there and hyped up this man to be like the second coming of Victor Cruz, like a guy who comes out of nowhere and becomes a star for the Giants. I'm sorry, guys. He's not that. Same as Bryce Ford Wheaton is probably not that either.
And Victor Cruz is only 5'9".
No, but I'm saying as a guy who came out of nowhere. Like, Colin Johnson's been in the league a couple of years, guys. Again, we've talked about this before. He's not a rookie. This isn't a guy who came out of nowhere. Last year, he also wasn't a rookie. He had a chance to be something with Jacksonville. Couldn't do it. Had a chance previously to be with the Giants and do something special. Couldn't do it. He's not that good. He looks good in practice when he plays against third-string guys. When you put him against actual legit talent, he's not good.
If he couldn't do it last year, when the Giants
last year he was injured, in all fairness. We're not going to talk injured last year. He had the torn ACL last year.
Touche.
You know.
Right.
But we've talked about it before. He had time with Jacksonville. That wasn't his first year with us either. He's just not that good. It's time to move on, guys. Stop falling in love with mediocre receivers. The Giant fans do this as a regular basis. I don't know why we do. So
all seems good.
One last cut, and James Robinson also was waived. So before we get into the terminated, there's a difference. Joe Shane becomes a Terminator.
Yeah, I'm here to pump you up.
It is not the chopper. Connor asks, clarify 53-man roster. I understand total, but how many are allowed to be at a game total-wise? Well, they can be as many as them at the game as you want, first off. Just because they didn't make the roster, even the practice squad guys, I believe, are allowed to stand on the sideline if they want. But there's 46 players that can suit up out of the 53-man roster. So you have 7 guys who don't suit up. And we talked about that with the emergency quarterback. He would have to be one of those 7 if we do it that way. So, it's typically when you have that, it's because you have guys that basically you don't want to put subject to waivers and you don't want people to possibly pick them up and not get to your practice squad. Lower end guys like that. Big guys, especially a lot of extra linemen and stuff like that will go in that kind of spot. Last year, remember Landon Collins took one of those 7 spots a lot too. Oh, you in the fantasy.
Yeah. For all you fantasy players out there, those guys that are not suited up are your guys on the bench.
Well, no, these aren't guys on the bench. These are the guys in like in a team inflicted bye week.
Saying,
they're like a team inflicted bye week.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just say, yeah. So when you play fantasy football, like you could drop your guys, you put them on the waiver wire, or you put them on your bench. Those are your inactive players.
Yes, but they still did something in the real world. So
just not that week.
Let's
fantasy team.
Let's get into terminated. So terminated vested veterans. So those are guys that have 4 or more accrued seasons. Now with them, they don't hit the waiver wire. They just become flat out free agents. That's the only difference between the guys who are waived and the guys who are terminated. So first off, defensive end to Sean Bowser, then defensive tackle Brandon Bryant, offensive tackle Corey Cunningham, offensive tackle Julian Davenport, And then wide receiver / kick returner Jaden Minkins. I don't think there's a single surprise in that group, except for Davenport.
Yep.
I'm a little disappointed because he's got some starting history there. But again, he's a free agent. We can still sign him to the practice squad later if they want to do that. He's a guy, one of the very few veterans that wouldn't mind keeping around because of the fact that our tackle situation, besides the 2 starters, is kind of really bad. So, okay, let's go into reserve. Injured. These are people that got popped on the IR, basically. They're done for the year. Bryce Ford Wheaton, we talked about him before. Since some people couldn't wait for us to get to the injury report.
Gosh.
So, Bryce Ford Wheaton done with a torn ACL. MetLife Stadium strikes again. Now, I won't say that the new turf is not working yet, because any turf or any grass even, people still get torn ACLs. It's not always a turf. But I will say this is something we should monitor, because if this continues to happen, yeah, that's an issue. Let's not have this. We want grass, people. We want grass. But I'll settle for turf that doesn't tear ACLs on a regular basis like the old one. The other injury, tight end Chris Myrick. He's got a torn metacarpal fracture in his hand. So he's now out for the year, which is kind of weird because
usually it takes like 6 to 9 weeks.
Yeah, it really, that's what I was going to say. It's usually one of those things where you think mid-season he'd be able to come back. Especially because a metacarpal fracture, and this is just me Googling it, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. But it's usually a minor fracture. So I feel like when it says torn metacarpal fracture, there must be something medically going on besides a typical metacarpal fracture that I'm unaware of, being that, again, I'm not a doctor.
So,
apparently Rob is a doctor. Let's go. Dr. Rob?
No, I broke 2 metacarpals. So there's a couple different ways you could break your metacarpal. One's a boxer fracture, right? Just a little boom, boom, right at the knuckle where it meets down to the bone. You could totally shatter one.
Yes, I've done that.
That's something I've done. And that takes typically about 9 weeks to heal.
I say mine's about 2.5 months
in there, but still, I would imagine you could play the season. Like I did around this time when I was 15. I still wrestled Black Friday.
Wrestling.
But then again, I was 15 at the time.
Yeah, we heal quicker.
Or you could have, that was a complete fracture, and then you could also just have a proper fracture, if you will. It's not completely broken. So I wonder if he actually tore some ligaments and did some other damage. Did the bone pierce the skin?
Yeah, I said that's what I'm saying. When they say torn, I don't know what the difference is. Like, I don't pretend to be a doctor, but obviously it's got to be worse than a traditional one, because a traditional one would be back in a couple
torn
months.
And saved for ligaments, soft tissues.
Yeah, so something happened.
Normally torn and saved for soft ligaments.
Now, the nice thing is, though, when you're
going
IR, when you go on IR, though, like these guys are, you're still protected by the team. Nobody else is picking them up to put them on the roster next year or anything like that. They're still protected by the team. It's kind of a sign of respect there. So, unlike these guys we're about to talk about who are just waived / injured. So, offensive lineman Jack Anderson, cornerback Zion Gilbert, offensive lineman Wyatt Davis. So, that's a lot of guys gone already. But yeah, they gone. So no big losses there either. I would say the only guy I'd be a little upset about was Jack Anderson. I liked him overall because he plays a few positions. He's not very good, but there's a lot worse than Jack out there. I'll put it that way. So, but yeah, he gone because he's injured.
Bye-bye.
Time to go. Don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. So we got a couple more.
Jets. Which means
the revenge of Pinnock.
Yeah.
I guess technically. So we got a couple final notes here. The rumors that are coming up. Rumor has it. We'll find out how true these rumors are. Some of them are right, some of them are not wrong. I do think these ones we're about to give you are legit, because some of the ones that come out are from sources, and some of them are legit sources. These are legit sources. So rumor is that Shep is going to make the final roster. Sterling Shepard will go ahead and be a part of the New York Giants, according to the reports going on right now. Also, Darnay Holmes is also expected to be part of the 53-man roster, which is just absolutely insanity. How does Darnay Holmes keep on making this roster? That's a case that's only best solved by his cousin Sherlock Holmes. But he's not good, guys. Like, I know a lot of guys keep saying, like, oh, but you're not going to find better than him in the open market. I am still not that sure. I just don't like him that much. But he's a veteran. He's had a few years in the system. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. But we don't even know how much money of a pay cut he took. I'm really hoping they got him down to the veteran minimum, kind of like a deal they did with Sterling Shepard last year. Like he's got to be paid a veteran minimum because he performs at the minimum level. It's what he does. He's just not that good. Last rumor is Darien Beavers. Oh yes. Hashtag save our beavers. Or next to me, I even have some beaver bites from Buc-ee's. So for those who don't know what Buc-ee's is that are up north, give it time, you'll learn. They'll move up there eventually, I'm sure. It's the largest gas stations in the entire world. They have a big old beaver, and everything that beaver is on. He's like the spokesman. They have beaver nuggets. It's kind of like corn pops that you don't need milk for. It's really, really good. I don't know why. They make fresh brisket and barbecue there and stuff like that. I'm getting hungry now. Damn it, Buc-ee's. But yeah, for those of you on TikTok, just search Buc-ee's, Buccee, I think it is, Buc-ee. But absolutely amazing place. Anyway, Beavers is said to be moving to edge. So kind of an interesting thing because we don't really have the best edge rushers in the world past our starters and Jihad Ward. We've talked about that before. That's a spot that we are severely lacking. So they obviously agree with that, and they think that that's a good spot for him. But I do think he'll probably play both. I do think that'll happen. He played both in college. So, don't forget, this is not his first. This is not his first time playing that position. He's got some experience. He hasn't played in the NFL, but technically he hasn't played linebacker in the NFL yet either, because he didn't make it past the preseason last year. So, I think you'll see guys like him and Isaiah Simmons kind of go back and forth between linebacker and edge. And I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch and a fun thing to keep an eye on overall. That's going to be something Wink's going to have fun trying to keep people on their toes with. So,
100%.
All right, we got a couple more comments here, all from Connor, because Connor's going a little comment crazy. Keep it up, Connor. We're not complaining. Actually, I take it back. We do have one from Joe as well. He says Beasley stays. We think so. And Connor says 46. Okay, I forgot. It's okay, Connor. We know you're old. So he says not suited up, can't play. Got it. Good one, Roberto. LOL. He says can't believe we're still talking about needing offensive line. Yeah, seriously, how many years in a row does it feel like we're still talking about the offensive line? It's really gotten sad how many times that's happening. He says let's make them play on memory foam. That's the worst ideas out there. He says wait, Roberto, is that just the left hand or the right hand too? LOL. He's broken every hand. He's just broken. He says you confuse me switching your hands. LOL. He says, do they still get paid when hurt? That's a good job if they get full pay or they just file for disability. They still get paid when they're hurt, but keep in mind that the guys who are hurt, they're not getting paid game checks and stuff like that. They don't really have a lot of money guaranteed in that thing. That's why they call it a waive, where they still get protection medically, but if they don't have any guaranteed money, there's nothing else the Giants are having to pay them at that point, basically. So it's kind of like getting fired but keeping your benefit package for a while, if that makes sense. Connor Connor says also, Shep, Darnay took pay cut this day. And he says, I like the Beavers. Yummy. And it says, Dakota, give Drew some ribs. He wants to fart. Listen, I'm good. I fart enough without the ribs. You're good. He says some ribs. LOL. All right. So a couple notes here real quick for you guys before we sign off for the night here. Again, we will be on tomorrow night. Not Wednesday like usual. Wednesday, we're going to do something different. We're talking about in a minute here. So tomorrow night, set the calendar, set the reminders, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will go ahead and discuss the roster with the new final 53-man roster there. Assuming that I still have power and everything, since I'm set to get potentially a hurricane tomorrow. We'll see how that works out. Worst comes to worst, I'll be drinking hurricanes. But like I said, keep an eye out for that there. Wednesday, we've talked about this now for a little while for you guys here, but Wednesday is our monthly Q&A show for the subscribers to the Two Giant Goofballs at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. If you haven't already and you want to be involved with our Wednesday Q&A show, all you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. And then you'll see it right there for the membership option. Subscriptions start literally at just $5 a month, guys. We aren't trying to make it expensive. We're not Rockefellers ourselves, except Rob. Rob actually is. He just doesn't want to tell people. Sorry, Rob. I bursted your bubble. I told everybody where you're going. I just noticed you're back. So, like I said, if you want to get involved with that, all you got to do is sign up. Then after that, there's a Facebook group specifically for subscribers that you can sign up for there. And then, like I said, you'll get access to those monthly ones. There's also some other benefits as well that we have on that website there for you. And of course, like I said, we will have a third regular episode as well. We just don't know when that's going to be yet. Because to be very frank, we're trying to keep an eye on what's going to happen later on this week, as far as new players being added to the roster. That's going to happen. That's life. So, plus, I'll be away at a huge convention in Atlanta. Those who are aware of the Dragon Con, that's where I'm going to be, getting my nerd groove on and be drunk for most of it. And when I say most of it, I mean all of it. I mean all of it. Whoop whoop! Huge con. Anybody here likes to con as well. Dragon Con, massive, huge, fun. That's all there is to it.
Dragon Milk.
Well, no, but it's like 7 hotels, dude. Plus the expo center they have in Atlanta right near there is just for selling merchandise. That's how big the place is. Plus there's usually tons of celebrities and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a fun time.
You ever had Dragon's Milk before?
Dragon's Milk?
Yeah. It's a stout beer that's like
Game of Thrones. The Game of Thrones. I have had that one actually. Yes, I was wondering where you were going. I thought this was going to be a perverted joke about the mother of dragons on Game of Thrones that you were going into.
No, I wasn't reading Connor's comments.
Oh, I didn't even see he put a comment about that. Did me and Connor think alike?
He probably did not. Maybe.
No. He put on there. So Wednesday show canceled. Wednesday show. Typical show is moved to Tuesday because of that, Connor. And then, like I said, because we had the 53-man roster tomorrow, we wanted to give you guys that episode and not make you wait another day to talk about that. But Wednesday's show will be the Q&A show, which is separate from the usual 3 shows we do per week. So, like I said, we will do a third one at some point later on this week. So you got today, tomorrow, and at one point later on in the week, which we will give you guys an announcement as soon as we know when we're going to do that there. We want to see what happens roster move wise, and we'll take it from there. So, again, guys, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, hit the follow. That's the best way to know. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. Oh, yes. And, of course, we're always back on audio podcast land as well. Usually, I would say about an hour or 2 afterwards, I start getting that up. So give it a couple hours to actually show live and active and stuff like that, or listening on your morning drive there. Feel free to leave us a review also on your audio podcast stuff. We like having that as well. And again, guys, we will see you guys tomorrow night as we talk about the 53-man roster. Finally getting closer and closer to real football.
Real football.
Practice. talking about practice. All right, guys. We will see you again tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat station. Unless I get hit by a hurricane. In that case, might be just Rob. We'll find out. In that case, I won't see you if I have no power. But I will definitely go ahead and try to be on as well, assuming that we're not in torrential downpour and all that. But I don't think where I am is going to be that bad. But I say that every time. Eventually, it's going to hit us. So we'll see. All right, guys. We will see you guys tomorrow night there. As always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?